I get to create things like
Yeah.
MillionaireX.ai because I have enough, enough push in the business, enough clientele. Thank God it was not easy to be able to say, hey, we get to create projects as well as work with others, and so helping people.
Overpressure refers to the sudden increase in pressure above the surroundings caused by the wave generated when something explodes. It propagates outward from the origin, capable of causing impact, momentum, or disruption, depending on its intensity and distance. It is a critical factor in assessing the effects of a mission. Welcome to the Overpressure podcast, where we dive into the explosive world of business for entrepreneurs who are vets or veteran entrepreneurs.
Hey, today on the Overpressure podcast, we have Kellen Coleman, master of communications, been in the industry a long time, an AI consultant. And it's always great when we have the opportunity to talk to somebody in our industry and really go deep on what's going on in the world today. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode of the Overpressure podcast. So I want to welcome Kellen to the show today. It's rare that I get the opportunity to talk to somebody in the industry, so let's dive right in. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Okay, so Kellen Cash Coleman here, and what I do is the same thing that I did when I worked with you 20 plus years ago, 10 plus years ago. Coleman Public Relations and Consulting Firm. We've been in the business for that business 10 years. I've done public relations and another business that I had for 20. And right now I get to have fun. I get to create things like MillionaireX.ai because I have enough, enough push in the business, enough clientele. Thank God it was not easy to be able to say, hey, we get to create projects as well as work with others, and so helping people. I used to help people at the Phoenix Academy while I was, a young kid. I used to help young kids at the Methodist Children's Home. And really what we're helping people do is make their dream and purpose come true.
Yeah, I imagine after 20 years of it, you've seen some crazy stuff. Any good stories?
Man, the best stories are the success stories. I know the YouTube ones that, who got on crack cocaine and who was sleeping with who and all that. But the best stories are not the crack stories, but I go Cat Williams and you guys and, give me the tea. But, yeah, it's really seeing somebody come, and I have seen people come like Five, he's a Christian artist, but he had come off crack and now he's like full-time ministry. And when we worked with him, it was like he was, still in the infancy stage, but he was in one of the best stages. And I've got guys who were working at factories who now are full-time and doing their business on YouTube. So those are the best stories when you can take somebody who had like a 9-to-5, get them out of the hustle that a lot of us have been in, and then show them, hey, we can go do this in Kenya. Mambo, Kenya, Uhaligani. Love being in Mombasa by the water. It's similar to being here in South Florida. So those are the best stories for me because that's why we got into this, to help and also to make some money.
Yeah. I mean, I always say it as like, it's awesome making money in business, but you can do good at the same time. Like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Amen. Amen. That's what it's all about.
So, what are you working on now? You got a couple brands out there that you're building. What's the future for those?
Well, MillionaireX.ai is because, I started as a writer. And I was, not even 18. I was writing even for the middle school is when I really thought, like, I started writing like for other people in middle school. Before that, you're in school and you think you have a talent. But I've written for various magazines, newspapers, and what the MillionaireX platform is, because I've seen, 70% of the athletes are going to retire and they're going to be broke. Similar to entertainers. We hear the entertainers say, oh, the studio didn't pay me. Oh, this didn't happen. These folks had millions of dollars. They didn't list it. and they didn't put anything away. So the great thing about America is, and it's one of, the few countries that this can happen like this, is that even on a teacher's salary, you can retire a millionaire if you fully fund your 401k or do similar,
Right.
investments like that. I follow Dave Ramsey, so I'm going to just talk about that real quick. And we've basically AI'd, some of the greats who do finance to show people so they can't say, oh, I never knew. No, you knew. To put away enough money for in 30 years, you can be a millionaire and you won't be, having a GoFundMe. Or I know you're a young guy, but if you've ever been to like a nursing home, if you
Yeah.
haven't, go. And go to a nursing home that's like people are state funded, where they just push them to a window or push them outside, versus like an Aegis. No shot. This is a shout out to Aegis, but not a shout out to Aegis. I love you, Aegis, but give me, come on, let's do a deal. But Aegis, I've been to some of them in like Seattle, Washington, when we lived there, that they have the beer and the wine on tap. And there's more sex going there than there is on a college campus. So, that's, you want to be able to, live a fulfilled life. And you don't want to be begging. You don't want to be a burden to people. So the AI, we got games on there because one of my friends told me, do you have any games for my nonprofit for the kids to play? So I have some, games on there. This is all self-funded. I don't have any VC money. I haven't asked for any VC money. We're just trying to show the value to say, hey, this is in America, we have a great time. I'm gonna sound a little like Don King, but I think more like Al Heyman for our boxing fans. But I just want everybody to have a fulfilled life. And you can't say no one told you, because others have told you. Dave Ramsey's been saying it for 30 years. And guess what? No one told you how to have sex, but you found a way. You found out what you want.
Yeah. Hey, people tend to figure out what they want to figure out if you put it in those terms. But
Yes.
what's the goal? I mean, you're obviously affecting people's lives in a great way. How many lives do you want to touch? How much money do you want to see people save?
Hey, let's go for the world. In this country, let's go for, for everybody. And I mean everybody, no matter what your status, your height, anything, whether you're legal or not, right? Because we all don't want to be a burden. We don't want to be a burden. And everybody, I think, wants to have some money. Most people want to have some money so they can pay the bills. So let's hit millions, let's hit billions. And it's really just so I can humble myself. It's really, God's plan, because this thing blow up tomorrow. I hope my head doesn't blow up with it. And then I start talking like Kanye and, Trump mixed together. And I'm a Gemini, so you never know.
It sounds like you have a plan. You know, as always, there's roadblocks along the way. How do you handle those roadblocks?
Well, I have to always go on the scripture because I don't know enough. And then I've been married almost 20 years. So I have a great wife. I have kids. I have aunts, uncles who can tell me, hey, Kelly, you're doing too much. Because at times I've been known to do too much. I used to be into the whole shock thing. I could jock with the best of them, but there's a life cycle for that. And you can also lose yourself. So it's, knowing who you want, write the vision down, make it plain, and get around good people, because there's not a lot of good people in this industry. I'll be honest with you. There's you got people who say, yeah, I'm going to do this with you, Austin. I'm going to do it. Hey, we'll do it tomorrow. You'll never hear from them. Don't give those people any money until, you see them. But it's really like, the goal is to grab the best people, the good people, and work with them. Because a lot of times we partner with people who do similar things that we do. And if we all don't have ego, hey, you can be the head. I don't care. I just want to get paid so I can get my people paid and we can get the mission complete.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's, we're kind of positioned in a unique way where we're trying to just make a positive impact with our own company. And to me, it's a lot about our people. It's about the people that are working for the brands that we work with and, trying to get them a better life along the way. That's one of my little passion projects, is making sure our people move forward and great mentors, great peers that you're talking to help make that happen, help give you the ideas of like, hey, how do I structure this to make sure it's a win-win-win? So I'm with you on that. So what do you think is the biggest challenge? Because I mean, the entire media landscape is changing. There's so many with AI. There's so many kind of generated features out there, and there's an opinion that traditional media might go away, and then other people are like it's more valuable than ever. So, what do you think is going to happen with the industry?
So let's go on a crazy journey. I love AI. We've been using it for 8 years. I licensed one of my friends' code 8 years ago when my 15-year-old was like 7, and we created her first book because I have a publishing company. So we write children's books. We write, various books when we feel creative. And that's just to control our narrative and so that the libraries will buy us. And it's a whole business of its own. Not the biggest business, but it's a business where we can say, yeah. But AI is great. AI, I have like 20 certifications. If you guys check my LinkedIn, Kellen Coleman, and all those certifications, and why I tell you that, they've all been able to be free. Whether you do the trials on Coursera, whether you do LinkedIn trials, and you're just, they're trying to sell you something always, and you're like, you know what, let me go learn something. And you can get, some information for free online. And so I have 20 AI certifications, which doesn't mean I know, anything except that the future has to change. Traditional media was kind of a bully. I remember coming back from South Africa over 20 years ago and telling a big network, a big medium, a big company like Viacom, and telling some of those folks, hey, why don't we have texting during TRL or 106 in Park or whatever was the hot show at the time? And they're like, oh, that could never happen, this, that. And I'm like, Africa's already doing it. And they're like, their thing wasn't how then, it was what were you doing in Africa? Because not everybody was going to Africa back then. And so I'm always that outlier, always that weirdo, and I want to be, ahead of the game. So I would listen to people like Peter Diamandis, which if you guys don't know who Peter Diamandis is, go check him out after you subscribe to Austin's, platform, and, go to Peter's and put all of them on your calendar. And so AI is here. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to replace us. But the old saying is those who use it will replace us. In next week or next year, this conversation might be our AIs talking back and forth and people just learning the game. And they're like, whoa, I love it. Because we all need our own portal. And that's what the MillionaireX.ai platform will probably turn into, like my diversified game podcast. Also, you guys can check that one out, where I can't wait to have Austin on. If he can do it right after this, we'll do it. I don't know what his schedule is, but I'm ready to go. But I just talked to entrepreneurs how they started, sustained, succeeded. And I know in the future, AI is going to be able to highlight those stories, and we're going to be virtual characters or real people just to get the game. We might put our Neuralink, click in real quick, and we could do it in any language. So we could be anywhere in the world. And I mean anywhere in the world, Craig, the world. Because, Elon wants to bring us to Mars, and, I'm not opposed. I don't know if Mars will be the first place I stop. I might want to stop by the moon or some star. But it's not going anywhere. So if you guys aren't learning, you might be obsolete. And if you don't know what that looks like, there's an old Twilight Zone episode in black and white, and I watch them all. My kids have to watch them all because I'm old school like that. But yeah, AI is here to stay, and it's the equalizer. The things we didn't know, the code that used to take 10 grand just to talk to somebody about, now you can do it yourself on a platform like Lovable. Or you can go to Durable in 60 seconds. You can have a website like that. So I love it. I built websites for taxi cab drivers in Colombia. Shout out to my guy, JJ, the best tour guide. We built his as well. because he's the best tour guide in, Cartagena when you're with your family. He'll take you to
Nice.
Palenque and, all the places that the passport bros don't go.
That's awesome. You bring up an interesting point of like, digital personalities are going to come down the line. How do people differentiate themselves now to really build that brand and make sure that they have that competitive edge when it's going to be hundreds of created personalities?
It is. And those personalities, how they engage with each other when our agents are talking to the other agents while we're sleeping, and the
Yeah.
information that I go to bed with a headband on, just because that helps me. And who knows, my agent might say, when you wake up, hey, check this out, or tell you something while you're listening. And again, I have plenty to do. So I like, to me, it's exciting. One less thing to do, where
Yeah.
we can learn other skills, and it's going to be, if you stay on top of it, it's going to be awesome. If you're like, oh, I'm scared, I was in California 2 weeks ago, half my family was scared, the other half is like, tell me more. So for the scared, I go learn, because it's not like we have AGI fully yet, but when we get ASI, it's going to be cool. And quantum computers, man, I got to start reading and studying now,
Yeah.
just, catch up.
That's something that excites me, is just the huge increase in processing speed that quantum's trying to bring to the marketplace. But how do people go learn these skills? Because there's so much out there, and like, I'm in it all day. But what's a good starting place for people to go learn the basics on how to build agents, stuff like that?
YouTube is free everywhere.
Yeah.
For those who have Microsoft, go call customer service. All the customer service that you'll get is overseas, from Rwanda to Kenya to India. Somehow those guys learned it, and they don't have the same power that we have. They don't have the same internet speed that we have. And they're hooking up my AI agents for Power Automate Premium to make sure my triggers are working when I'm just, either too busy or maybe too lazy, or what, a combination. So you can go to YouTube University and get off the cats fighting, the bums fighting, the police fighting with people about just the silliest stuff, and go learn something every day. If you learn something, get better 1%. The old saying is, your whole life will be different. Miles Monroe taught us while he was alive, read a book a week until your wife starts reading too, and then you got to catch up. But, your life will be different. The things will be different. And so you think everybody knows, but most people aren't even reading a book a month, a book a year, some people, and they got more money than you and I and the other 10 people listening. But doesn't mean that just because they made it, doesn't mean they can keep it. You guys see some of these athletes and entertainers, they sound like idiots. They just, found the algorithm real quick. But that's why they need people like me. And I'm not calling everybody an idiot, because, but you can be ignorant about a lot. And what you have to do is go on the YouTubes, go on the LinkedIns. Like I said before, that's free information. It's free game. And if you got internet at the Starbucks, even if you can't pay your power bill, you got a Starbucks, you can just, buy a $2 coffee. That's the little shot of espresso, chill, and get busy. I've interviewed people who have 200 plus locations. They still go to Starbucks just for the vibe and to vibe out. And with vibe coding, everybody can create a website and an app now. So there's no excuse. Give me an excuse, email it to me and say, oh, if you guys know Art Williams, oh, but Art, da-da-da-da. Just do it, baby. That's it, But houses ain't selling. Do it anyway.
Yeah, that's incredible. Where can people find out more about you?
So Kellen Coleman or Kellen Cash, either way, you can go from the LinkedIn to any of your social medias, and you'd be surprised. I'm on all of them, I'm told. But, and just, connect. And of course, the MillionaireX.ai platform, where you can, join for free. And if you join at a higher level, there's more that you can do. There's more of the AI and tools you can use. And even there's one-on-ones that you can schedule. My thing is I want to die empty. So I got about 74 natural years, but they say we're going to expand that lifespan. Don't quote me on that, but that's what the scriptures give you, 120. And you guys can go on any of those social media, check me out. And if you're talking business or even consultation, just, let's just talk. Like, don't ask me how much. Don't look at my website and say, oh, but it costs this much. I'm a human, you're a human, or maybe you're a cyborg, you're half and half. If you got a good idea, maybe we say we want to be a part of that idea and we can work some stuff out. I don't want money to be the barrier because life is really good. We got health, so we got wealth. So, tap in and check out the Diversified Game podcast as well again, because all I'm doing is telling other people's stories, how they started, sustained, and succeeded. It's not impossible, but it might be damn hard.
Yeah. So if you were going back to the beginning of your career, what advice would you give somebody just starting out in public relations, since that's really where we are?
Don't go to school for it. Do not go to school.
Yeah.
I have my master's in communications. We can teach you that. You can learn that. There's other areas, but don't, especially if you have to go in debt like I did. Don't go to school for it. Thank God I was able to pay off Sally Mae, and it was a big check. But yeah, just start doing it, because that's what I started doing. I started, again, I told you, as a writer, then Universal, Vicky Charles, shout out to her. She was Cash Money's publicist when they were at their peak at 100 million. And she gave me some game, and then the magazine game tanked. And then I said, well, since writing doesn't pay as much, let me get into PR. And then I got into consulting. So it's been stages. And the more you learn, I just got some new, tools from my tool belt 2 days ago, just for the government contracting that we do, or another side business or another service we may offer. I don't know yet. The state has to approve me. But in the state of Florida, I'm a licensed sports agent. I'm this, I'm that. None of that matters if I don't bring value. And so you got to find out what you're going to bring value. And I probably, if I had to do it again, I would have listened to my wife and said, you know what, let me go into healthcare, because yeah, you're right, that they're always going to need healthcare. And I could have still did all of this that I'm doing. I'd have just had to get past, the things that none of us want to do, like touching the urine and the blood and the mathematics that I really struggled with back in the day. But I didn't understand the formula. And the school system wasn't necessarily there to hold a dyslexic's hand and an ADHD student's hand like that, so I kind of just, got by until I got to college and excel.
Well, you definitely provided value here today, and I want to thank you for coming on, Kellen. It's been a pleasure. And any last words for the audience?
Man, hey, find the mentorship. Find the right circle. Find a scripture, a Bible verse, that book. Even if you don't believe in God, that book has stories that you're like, how did they know this? I was going to go through this. Like, that's a historical book as well. And you got to know that there's something greater than you. And this is just, whether we're in a simulation or what, this is just a moment. Leave a legacy. Smile. Let the nonsense go. Forgive whoever you need to forgive, or fight whoever you need to fight, and then forgive, get all that out. And just keep it moving, and don't stay in a slump, because I think we've all been in a slump before. And nah, man, don't let that devil win. You got to win. You got a purpose. Find your purpose, and you'll win. That's it. Keep God first.
Truth is truth no matter what, right?
Yes,
all right, guys. We'll see you again soon.
All right, y'all be blessed.